The snow has barely finished melting in Flagstaff, but the air inside the Brown family has never felt colder. On the surface, everything looks quiet. No explosive group texts, no chaotic holiday standoffs, no viral social media meltdowns. But behind the scenes, a new kind of war has begun, and this time it didn't erupt in a living room or a confessional chair. It began with something far more subtle and far more devastating. An empty first-class seat on a plane leaving Salt Lake City. A seat that was paid for, planned for, and emotionally weaponized. A seat that never got filled. And that single absence has sent shockwaves through Flagstaff that no amount of snowmelt could ever cool down. According to exclusive but unconfirmed information circulating among insiders, Kody Brown believed he had finally cracked the code. After years of estrangement, awkward distance, and public backlash, he allegedly purchased a premium first-class airline ticket for his daughter Truly, inviting her to spend the summer at Coyote Pass. On paper it looked generous, grand even. The kind of gesture meant to signal effort, importance, reconciliation. But whispers suggest that behind the scenes, Kody wasn't calling it a family visit. He was calling it a reconciliation tour. A carefully timed, camera-ready summer designed not just to heal wounds, but to resurrect a storyline that was flatlining fast. The plan, allegedly, was simple. Get Truly on the property. Get her laughing, smiling, riding four-wheelers, sitting by a campfire. Capture the footage. Rewrite the narrative. Prove the critics wrong. Prove he was still a father worth rooting for. Prove the family wasn't completely fractured. There was just one problem. The plane took off without her. The seat remained empty. And what came next wasn't a missed connection or a teenage change of heart. It was, according to reports, a message so final that it may have permanently shut the door on Kody's last illusion of control. Sources claim Truly didn't forget the flight. She didn't oversleep. She didn't panic at the airport. Instead, she allegedly sent the boarding pass back to Kody via certified mail. Certified. Documented. Unavoidable. And inside that envelope, we're told, was a message that didn't scream, didn't insult, didn't beg. Simply closed the door. A quiet refusal that echoed louder than any on-camera meltdown ever could. In that moment, the narrative Kody thought he was directing collapsed midair. This wasn't just a cancelled summer visit. This was a declaration of independence. A line drawn by a child who had spent years waiting for attention and finally realized she no longer needed to wait at all. And the timing could not have been worse for Kody Brown. Because summer isn't just summer in the Brown universe. Summer is filming season. Summer is content season. Summer is survival season. The uncomfortable truth that everyone dances around but no one says out loud is this. The show is struggling. 3 wives are gone. The family structure that once fueled the series has collapsed. And watching Kody and Robyn sit on a bench, talking in circles about loyalty and betrayal, is not enough to keep ratings alive. Insiders suggest that production pressure is mounting, and fast. Kody needs proof. Proof that he is still relevant. Proof that he still has access to the original family. Proof that the OG kids haven't completely opted out of his world. We're hearing that producers are pushing hard for visuals of Kody as a present, engaged father to the children who have moved on. He needs footage that says, "See? They still come back." Truly was the key, the bridge, the last believable connection to the original family narrative. Without her, the storyline collapses into a lonely monologue. So this visit wasn't casual. It wasn't spontaneous. It was allegedly scheduled down to the detail, disguised as bonding, wrapped in the illusion of choice. Kody, according to those close to the situation, believed that flashing a first-class ticket would seal the deal. That comfort, status, and the appearance of effort would dazzle a teenage girl into compliance. It was a miscalculation so profound it exposed how little he truly understood her. Because Truly isn't the little girl quietly hoping her dad would notice her anymore. She's a teenager who has spent the last year living in a home filled with consistency, laughter, and something that had been missing for far too long, peace. Living with Christine and David Woolley has reportedly given Truly a front-row seat to a different version of family life. One without cameras dictating emotion. One without love being transactional. One where presence matters more than performance. And once you've seen the difference between a father and a cast member, it becomes impossible to unseen it. At the center of this entire summer invite is a foundational lie that refuses to stay buried. Cody claims he has space for her. He's said it before. He's ranted about rooms, about sanctuaries, about how his home is open. But anyone who has watched the footage knows better. We've seen the glimpses. The cluttered rooms. The boxes stacked in windows. The narrow pathways carved through chaos. The rumors suggest that if Truly had arrived, she wouldn't have been welcomed into a warm, personal space. She would have been folded into the margins, sleeping on a blow-up mattress or a fold-out couch, while Robyn's children enjoyed private bedrooms and stability. So the real question becomes impossible to ignore. Why would a teenager leave her organized, comfortable life in Utah to fly into an environment where she feels like a guest star on a failing sitcom? Why would she choose chaos over calm, cameras over choice? That's the question Cody never asked himself. He assumed the patriarch's summons would be obeyed. He assumed authority still outweighed history. He was wrong. Reports indicate that Truly looked at her summer calendar and made a decision that sent Cody spiraling. She didn't choose the drama. She didn't choose the cameras. She chose her peace. And that choice has turned one empty airplane seat into a symbol of everything Cody has lost. The timing makes it worse. He went months without seeing her. Missed birthdays. Missed milestones. So why now? Why is this summer suddenly non-negotiable? Insiders suggest the answer has nothing to do with fatherhood and everything to do with pressure. The investors Cody references, the production company, are allegedly tightening the screws. Those Zoom meetings he takes in isolation, the ones he claims are about business, are rumored to be producers telling him his storyline is dying. Without the OG kids, there is no emotional core. And without an emotional core, there is no show. So Cody tried to book his daughter like an asset. He needed her presence to protect his paycheck. And that's where everything unraveled. Because while Cody was planning scenes, Truly was watching real life unfold in front of her. She was watching David Woolley show up without needing applause. Treat her mother with respect. Engage with the kids because he wanted to, not because a season arc required it. In that comparison, Cody wasn't competing with Christine. He was competing with reality. In one world, Truly is a prop. In the other, she is a daughter. And once that realization sets in, no first-class ticket in the world can buy it back. The silence that followed that return ticket was louder than any argument the Brown family has ever televised. There was no shouting match, no tearful confrontation caught on camera, no explosive text exchange that could be dissected frame by frame. Instead, there was an envelope, certified, official, impossible to ignore. And inside it, according to those close to the situation, was something Kody Brown never anticipated receiving from his own child. Boundaries in black and white. Insiders whisper that Truly didn't just say no. She documented it. What allegedly arrived at Coyote Pass wasn't an emotional plea or a dramatic rejection. It was a schedule. A neatly printed calendar spanning June, July, and August. Every single week filled. Camping trips, library days, volunteering, gardening, family plans, a life already in motion. And at the top of that calendar, the message was unmistakable. 0 available days. Not now. Not this summer. Not for what he was offering. This wasn't rebellion. It was organization. It wasn't rage. It was resolve. Cody had tried to book his daughter like a contractor, and she replied like a CEO declining a bad merger. There was nothing to argue with. No emotional door to kick open. He could rage at tears. He could spin anger. But how do you fight a calendar? How do you villainize a child who simply says, "I'm busy"? And yet, according to reports, that calendar wasn't even the part that sent him into a tailspin. Because clipped to the back of that schedule, we're told, was a photo. A single image that detonated whatever composure Cody had left. It wasn't a staged selfie. It wasn't a dramatic statement. It was quiet, ordinary, devastating. The photo allegedly showed Truly sitting in the driver's seat of a car, hands on the steering wheel, focused, serious. And in the passenger seat sat David Woolley, calmly pointing toward the dashboard, teaching her how to drive. The implication was nuclear. For years, Cody has styled himself as the leader, the teacher, the guide into adulthood. At least, that's the image he tried to sell. But this photo told a different story without saying a single word. Another man was doing the most fundamental work of fatherhood. Trusting her. Sitting beside her. Teaching her independence. Not for a camera. Not for a storyline. Just because that's what dads do. That image didn't just reject a plane ticket. It replaced Cody. It showed him exactly what he missed while he was busy prioritizing loyalty tests and Robyn's household. While he was planning four-wheeler shots and campfire scenes, someone else was patiently preparing his daughter for real life. Teaching her how to drive isn't glamorous and stressful. It requires calm, consistency, and presence. Everything Cody avoided. And that's why the photo cuts so deep. It wasn't symbolic. It was factual. From that moment on, insiders say, the situation stopped being about Truly and started being about money. Because once you strip away the emotional language, the truth becomes uncomfortable. The Brown family finances are opaque at best, but one thing is clear. The show is the lifeline. Without it, the McMansion is just debt wrapped in drywall. And the show needs children. Not just any children. The OG kids. The ones viewers care about. The ones who represent the emotional cost of the family's collapse. Sources suggest that Cody's so-called business meetings, the ones he locks himself away for, demanding privacy, are not about investments or side hustles. They are allegedly Zoom calls with producers telling him bluntly that his storyline is stale. Watching him and Robyn shop or complain isn't pulling numbers. The audience wants accountability. They want fallout. They want to see how the divorces affected the kids. And producers are reportedly tired of being told those kids are too busy to film. So the ultimatum came down. Get the kids on camera or brace for consequences. That first-class ticket wasn't a gift. It was a production expense. An investment. A last-ditch attempt to secure footage that could anchor an entire season. Cody needed Truly to walk through that door so the cameras could zoom in on his face. Capture the hug, the tears, the redemption arc. He needed proof that he was still central to the family story. Without her, he's just a man talking to himself in an echo chamber. And when she refused, she didn't just hurt his feelings. She threatened his livelihood. That's when the narrative shift began. Suddenly, the story wasn't about a daughter choosing peace. It was about parental alienation. According to insiders, Cody began telling anyone who would listen that Christine poisoned Truly's mind. That David overstepped. That this wasn't Truly's decision. Because in Cody's worldview, his children don't have agency. They have assignments. But here's the part he can't escape. Truly has eyes. She has ears. She has access to the internet. She can watch the old seasons. She can see the patterns. She knows who was present and who wasn't. She remembers the kidney failure. She remembers the birthdays missed. She remembers being an afterthought while other children were prioritized. She remembers watching her sister go through major surgery without her father there. You cannot scream at a child's mother on national television, accuse her of betrayal, and then expect that child to board a plane for a fun summer vacation. You cannot publicly humiliate her family and privately demand loyalty. Children don't forget that. Teenagers especially don't forgive it. According to those watching closely, Cody had already cleared his schedule for filming. The crew was ready. The scenes were planned. He likely had a script in his head, teaching Truly something symbolic, imparting Brown family wisdom, reclaiming his role as the patriarch. And then the seats stayed empty. The cameras had nothing to film. The crew had questions. And Cody had to explain why the talent didn't show up. That humiliation is what fuels the rage. Not heartbreak, embarrassment. Because now he has to explain to Robyn's kids why their sister doesn't want to come. He has to explain to producers why the reconciliation arc collapsed. And he has to sit with the reality that the rejection was formal, documented, and backed by another man who stepped into the role he abandoned. Meanwhile, the environment truly would have walked into remains impossible to ignore. Reports of tension inside the Flagstaff house have circulated for years. Strict rules, monitored conversations, walking on eggshells, a home where silence is safer than honesty. Truly, by all accounts, values her voice. In Utah, she's allowed to use it. In Flagstaff, she would have been expected to conform. Add to that the rumor mill surrounding the house itself. The clutter, the lack of space, the sense that there is no real room, physically or emotionally, for anyone who isn't fully compliant. The idea that Truly would leave her sanctuary only to feel like an intruder was never realistic. Cody assumed authority would override reality. But reality won. And now, with that ticket returned and that photo delivered, the balance of power has shifted. Cody is no longer directing the story. He's reacting to it. And the next move he's reportedly considering could blow this quiet rebellion into full-scale war. Because when control slips away from someone who relies on it for identity, the response is never calm. What began as a quiet refusal is now threatening to metastasize into something far uglier, because Kody Brown has never been known to accept rejection gracefully. According to those close to the situation, the return ticket didn't just bruise his ego, it triggered a familiar response pattern. When emotional control fails, he reaches for legal language. When love isn't freely given, he tries to demand it. And now, as whispers grow louder, it appears he may be preparing to escalate this private family boundary into a public legal spectacle. Sources claim Cody has been ranting about rights, rather than relationships. The phrase custodial interference is allegedly being repeated with increasing frequency, as if saying it enough times might make it true. In his mind, Christine isn't a mother protecting her child's peace. She's a gatekeeper withholding property. That framing is chilling, but it's also revealing. It exposes how Cody views his children not as autonomous individuals, but as extensions of his authority. If they don't comply, someone must be blamed. The idea that Truly made this decision on her own appears to be the most intolerable truth of all. According to insiders, Cody refuses to believe his daughter has the agency to say no. He insists the schedule, the letter, the refusal itself must have been engineered by Christine, possibly influenced by David. It's a classic narcissistic injury. When reality contradicts self-image, reality must be rewritten. Because accepting that Truly chose peace over him would require confronting years of absence, neglect, and misplaced priorities. But here's where the situation becomes truly dangerous for Cody. If he follows through with legal action, he doesn't just risk losing in court. He risks opening doors that cannot be closed. At Truly's age, a judge listens. This isn't a toddler custody dispute. This is a teenager with a voice, a documented history, and a televised record of her father's behavior. If Truly were to sit in a judge's chambers and calmly state that she doesn't feel comfortable, that she doesn't have a bedroom, that she doesn't want to be filmed, that conversation alone could dismantle Cody's entire case. And then there's discovery, financial records, living conditions, contracts, footage, years of publicly available evidence. A courtroom doesn't care about redemption arcs, cares about patterns. And Cody's pattern has already been broadcast to millions. Those tracking the situation closely believe this is why the legal threats remain just that. For now, bluster, intimidation, a pressure tactic designed to scare Christine into compliance and remind Robyn that he's fighting for the family. Because Robyn's perception matters deeply to him. She needs to see him as the protector, the man standing his ground. Even if that fight destroys what little remains of the family structure. And that brings us back to the ghost haunting every corner of Cody's ego. David Woolley. David isn't loud. He isn't performative. He doesn't need confessionals to validate his presence. But his influence is undeniable. Teaching Truly to drive wasn't just a milestone. It was a transfer of trust. It symbolized something Cody can't compete with. Consistency. Money can't buy it. Authority can't command it. Cameras can't manufacture it. The first-class ticket was supposed to signal importance, status, value. But Truly doesn't want to be a VIP guest in her own life. She wants to be a daughter. And David is doing the unglamorous work that builds that bond, showing up day after day without needing an audience. That contrast has not been lost on the other children either. Reports suggest that several of the OG kids have been spending more time in Utah, observing the difference for themselves. They see a man who cooks, who builds, who listens. A man who doesn't weaponize loyalty or demand obedience. Truly's decision wasn't made in isolation. It reflects a broader shift. A consensus forming quietly among the children who grew up under Cody's rule and are now choosing something else. Back in Flagstaff, the atmosphere is reportedly growing heavier by the day. With the reconciliation summer officially dead, production is scrambling. Schedules have holes. Storyboards have been rewritten. And when the planned hero refuses to appear, the camera inevitably turns toward the villain. Cody, whether he likes it or not, is becoming the story. Producers are known for many things, but protecting egos is not one of them. If they can't film a redemption arc, they'll film a meltdown. If they can't capture hugs, they'll capture rage. And according to insiders, Cody is providing plenty of that. Pacing, ranting, blaming, revisiting old grievances. The bitterness is no longer contained. It's spilling into every interaction. The condition of the Flagstaff house is also becoming harder to ignore. For years, viewers have speculated about the clutter, the boxes, the sense of overwhelm. Now those rumors are intensifying. Sources claim the house isn't just messy, it's oppressive. Pathways through rooms. Shared spaces swallowed by accumulated assets. An environment that reflects emotional stagnation rather than growth. Forcing Truly into that space would have been more than uncomfortable. It would have been cruel. Compare that to Utah. Organization. A home built on beginnings rather than resentment. Truly didn't need to explain her choice. She voted with her boarding pass. Or rather, with her refusal to use it. As summer unfolds, the contrast between silence and noise is becoming impossible to ignore. Truly remains quiet. Living her life, gardening, hiking, learning, growing. Every candid moment posted online is a silent rebuke to the chaos she declined. Meanwhile, Cody grows louder. Cryptic social media posts, dark monologues about betrayal and loyalty. A man trying desperately to control a narrative that has already slipped beyond his grasp. The audience sees it. The fandom sees it. Hashtags form. Sides are chosen. And overwhelmingly, the support lands where Cody least expects it, with the teenager who chose boundaries over bravado. He wanted to edit the summer into a redemption story. Instead, he may have guaranteed that the next season documents his unraveling. And still, this isn't the end. Because the refusal didn't just collapse a visit. It exposed a truth Cody has spent years avoiding. The OG family was the show. The kids were the emotional core. Without them, the spotlight reveals something hollow. An angry man in a house full of things but empty of connection. Patriarch without followers. Father without access. The return ticket now sits somewhere in Flagstaff. A piece of paper heavy with meaning. A receipt for a transaction that failed. A reminder that you cannot purchase what you refuse to nurture. And as this summer stretches on, one question looms larger than ever. What happens when a man who has built his identity on control realizes he has none left? By the time the reality of the situation fully settles in, it becomes painfully clear that the empty seat on that plane was never the ending. It was the beginning of something far more destabilizing. The moment Truly chose not to board that flight, the balance of power inside the Brown family shifted permanently.